started out as that small little thing in the front yard I showed you, and you can see it in our backyard. It'll be like right here, and then it'll flash, and it'll disappear, and then pop back in with a large black cape or something behind it, and then it'll disappear again, and then appear in this area with a large black cape, and then it'll come back, and it'll disappear, and then come from this side where it just left again, and it's like, and then you'll see it just fly into the sky. It'll fly straight through our fence.
Wow.
It's crazy. Like, and people I posted it online, and people were like, that looks like a lightning bug, and people was like, hold on a second, I'm from the South. Lightning bugs have a smooth off and on flash, and they don't fly fast. Like I said, my family's from Indiana, Kansas, Oklahoma. We got lightning bugs out there everywhere, and those bad boys don't fly like that, and they sure as hell don't disappear completely, because you can see them still in the camera just like every other bug. But this thing that was flying around our stuff is most definitely not a bug, because if a bug comes in and forms itself to be like a human shape sitting on the end of my bed, now that's most definitely not a bug, and that's what I experienced and my daughter experienced.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's really wild that these things are occurring, and the people online are like, El Grove is made on Indian burial ground, so it could be a spirit that had some type of hard experience, and they didn't say die in your location, but that's where their traumatic event happened, and they say died at a hospital, but they returned to their traumatic experience, which is what they relived in their in-between sessions of next life, So I was just like, that kind of makes sense based on, people talk about heaven and hell, and then the purgatory, or hell or heaven on earth, or spirits traveling, kind of being lost because they, displaced from their bodies, or, like a show I watched called Lock and Key, right? To where...
Oh, yeah, Lock and Key, yeah.
Yeah, so when they put the key in the back of their neck and they displace from their bodies and how the out-of-body experience, and the people think they're dead, but it's just their bodies are floating around. Nobody can see them, but this is kind of how I feel about this situation, is they're kind of gliding in between our realm and our space, and then disappearing and going into that space between space, and then appearing in another area. Because, me being an Army veteran, like I was explaining before, we have night vision goggles, and there's certain things that glow infrared, so you can, be able to see, like, say, with night vision goggles at night, when there's no moonlight or starlight, you can create your own light with that the little blue infrared bulb. So we have the red infrared that's inside of my camera system. So this thing is creating a shadow, which means that you really can't see it with the naked eye because it's completely black. And I also have video of me walking out of my front door and sitting in the car, outside with my friend, and this thing flew right by. And my wife caught it on camera, and I'm sitting in the car facing my front door. I could see my front door, and I couldn't see this thing with my eyes at all. Like, no bugs, my porch lights on, couldn't see nothing. And this thing is huge.
That Marcus, that's how we got to get the show going. Let me find out what's happening with Phil. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me see if he messaged me. Let me send him a message.
And then this whole stroke thing I went through, man, I tell you, like, I've been reading up on fairies, and I've been reading up on, they call it the Fae. I've been reading up a lot of those things, and, you were talking about how the ETs sometimes work with the Fae,
Oh, yeah.
So when I had the stroke, right, I kind of seen that there was something divine that happened based on how everything transpired in my life. I went to work, I couldn't feel my arm. I ended up pulling over at the customer's house and called him out. He was a nurse for Kaiser, told me I was having a stroke. Ambulance was there within not even 5 minutes.
Wait, Marcus, you're saying you had a stroke?
Yeah, I had a stroke. Remember I told you me and my wife woke up in the bed, and we were just sitting there, and we just looked at each other. We went to sleep. All of our lights was on in our room. We previously turned them off. And then I went and had a CT scan and MRI, and the doctor said they couldn't even find anything in my brain for any brain tissue damage or anything like that, my front right lobe, where they said I had the stroke at. And that was when that thing came and it sat on the end of my bed. That's when I had that. Right after that, I had the CT and MRI. And it was like, sir, it's almost as if you never even had a stroke. That's why I brought up that Stanley Roman, that thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Marques, you're young. How old are you?
I'll be 38 next month.
38 and you had a stroke?
I had a stroke at 35. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I've been walking again and being able to eat again for the last year and a half.
Holy cow.
For a year and a half. Couldn't walk. I had to go through PT, physical therapy, occupational therapy, learn how to put my socks on with my right hand and all that stuff, how to get myself dressed and how to use the bathroom and use my wheelchair, push myself backwards, how to get up and downstairs. It's been a long road. It's been a long road.
God. And did the doctor tell you what caused it?
Yeah, it was a traveling clot in my brain. You know what I'm saying? It caused a fracture in my front right lobe. You know what I'm saying? So they gave me something called a TPA to bust that clot down. And they told me it was going to be like maybe 2.5 years, before I could be able to walk again. So after that situation happened, I went through physical therapy, occupational therapy, and then me and my wife went that situation to where we woke up in our bed after we had turned all the lights off, we got dressed, after we took a shower, laid down, got under the covers, and then 3:33 in the morning we woke up. Me and my wife are looking at each other. I'm naked, laying on top of the covers. She's sitting up along the headboard, just looking at me. I'm looking at her like confused and dazed, like don't know what's going on. And then that's 2 weeks later. After that, that's when I had my CT and MRI, and they told me that I didn't have any type of tissue damage anymore inside my brain, which was something that the doctors are still trying to figure out. They tried to rule it out as something called conversion. They tried to say it was conversion. They couldn't find any type of ability to conversion, even though I still had the signs and symptoms of having a stroke, like the tingling in my arm, but there was just nothing inside of my brain that they could find that there was any type of scar tissue anymore. But the two comparisons of the stroke versus the after stroke, in the second CT scan and MRI weren't even comparable. They said it's almost as if like it's two different brains. So if you see the video, if you checked out my Facebook, I posted a video of me actually going through in-home physical therapy before they sent me to outpatient. My physical therapist was coming to help me with my paralyzed left side because I couldn't walk. I couldn't use my left arm or anything. So and that's when I showed, and it showed also I was starting, all of a sudden I'm able to start riding horses again. And that's where they start to do an investigation on their own and say, hey, like this guy, we don't know what the heck is going on with this guy. And that's what brought me to think of Stanley Romanek. He had that knee surgery and he woke up and out of his bed, and then he looked over on his nightstand, and the medal with the same serial number and everything that he had placed in his knee 15 years prior was laying on his nightstand. Didn't have a brand new scar, didn't have a brand new anything. It's just something that was placed in there many years ago that he took to the hospital and said, hey, what is this? This is what was in my knee, I think. And they did a CT scan, or did an X-ray on him. That was exactly what was in there. It wasn't even in his knee anymore. So I think that we have a lot of comparisons with our stories, and for anybody that's out there in the world that is seeing these so-called light rod things or anything like that, or that had the paranormal experiences that we've had, to where they're, they have these entities that's in their homes or, going into their homes, just make sure you take care of yourself and you watch out for your families, because I don't really understand if this thing was showing me that I had a purpose somewhere else in life, or if it was keeping me alive for some type of other testing that it was going to do to me. Because as I said, this thing has been coming to our home every other night. It's been for over a year now, and we've got it on full footage, like multiple times of it coming in the night. It's in our front yard, it's coming from our tree, it's coming through our windows, going back outside. You can clearly see it. My wife and I have been on debate, like, it's flying past the house, right? On the corner of our backyard. But I'm like, hold on a second. You can see the corner of the because it's transparent. You can see the corner of the house in the backyard through the objects.
Phil, I'm sorry, Marques.
It's no problem.
Phil, is everything cool or?
I'm not able to get Google Meet to record, so we can either run a Zoom call real quick, or you guys can let me mess around with this more. It's up to you.
Yeah, let's go with Zoom.
Hello, Marques. What's up, man? Xandean.
Man, I couldn't wait to come speak, man. I had to get settled. Sorry about that, brother. You know,
It's all good,
I was
man. It's all good. You got business to handle, man. That's just what it's about, you know?